Welcome to a new episode of Vyapar, a show where we explore the journeys of entrepreneurs and the businesses that they've built. This week with me today is Tanya Nambiar, who is the owner of El Diablo Sauces. And, Tanya, along with her husband, started this company 3 years back, and they have really come a long way. And when I first spoke to Tanya, I was really amazed with the depth of her knowledge of the industry. And, I could feel the energy and the passion in her voice. And, that really just, it is contagious and it gets to you. And apart from the business, Tanya is also a singer. She's also a voiceover artist. And, listening to her story made me realize one thing: to become an entrepreneur, or for that matter, to achieve anything in life, you have to go all out. So, Tanya, tell us something about El Diablo Sauces, and how did you come up with the idea to start this venture, and why did you think of getting in this segment in particular? Why sauces?
So we couldn't find good sauces in the market. We would go out a lot and we eat out a lot. And, we saw the regular stuff that was always on every restaurant table. And none of us come from like business families. So,
Mm.
I remember we were going out a lot and we were like, they're not really exciting sauces out here. Everyone only knew of the basic mustard, ketchup, mayo. And then, of course, you have Sriracha and Tabasco, which are the two brands, which are probably the only international brands people know of here. And most of the exciting sauces were all imported products. So, it struck us like lightning, like, oh, here's
Mm.
a huge gap in the market. And, this is something that's missing here in the Indian industry. So why don't we start our own brand of sauces and make it exciting, things that we like. For me, as someone who's been working on my own brand in terms of when I quit my job to take up music full time and all of that, I've realized that you have to find a gap to create an opportunity. There are
Yeah.
tons of ideas, but when it's something that appeals to you, that's when you know it's going to work. If you're going to be a customer for your own product, then you're going to find other customers as well. But if it's just something random you pick out of the air and then you're trying to
Mm.
make it work, it's a lot harder. So we found this gap. There is a huge demand for condiments in this industry, in this country. And, we do like spicy flavors, sweets, we have
Mm.
pickles, all of that, chutneys, and all of that's happening, but we don't have exciting sauces. So we saw that gap in the market. We identified it and decided to create our own sauces. And in Jan 2017, El Diablo Sauces was born. We literally started out of our kitchen. My husband comes, from the hospitality background, and he rustled up something and he's like, try this. And I'm like, what? And he's like, just try this. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And we knew we were sitting on something really, really exciting and big. And I think that once we tried our first sample, we were
Mm.
quite sure that this is going to be the business for us. And having no idea about how to run a business, we have no idea. None of us are,
Mm.
some super rich billionaires, because it's scary. But there was so much
Yeah.
faith in the product, and that was the first step of confidence that we took. We were like, this product is really good. How do we market this? And we just came up.
Mm.
Let's call it El Diablo Sauces, and that's it. That's how the brand was formed.
Yeah, I know. And you, when we were speaking, you told me, like, there were a lot of research that went into, building this and finding that gap. And like, when it comes to sauces, like you said, I've only had ketchup and the dhaniya ki chutney in all my years of life. No, yeah, I don't know like any other flavors out there. And you have like 11 unique flavors, and every single one
Yes.
is really innovative. Like, I've not even heard of some flavors out there. I didn't even know that this was a flavor. So how do you come up with such unique sauces? Like, what's your secret sauce? Pardon the pun.
So when we came up, I think for us, our research started after we formed the company. Usually it's ulta, like people
Yeah.
start the research first, and then for us, I think we stumbled upon this gap and decided to like jump on the train to form a
Hmm.
business, and then did our research. So for us, it was like, we were like, okay, what is missing in the market? And that's how, and so my husband handles the product and the creation of the sauces. I handle the sales and marketing. For us, we both understand each other's, strengths and weaknesses, and that's what we
Hmm.
worked on. So for me, it was like, okay, I researched the market in terms of, if we want to do something, that's unique and really stand out, amongst the clutter that is there, then we need to create something that's really exciting, something that's catchy, something that really, really catches the attention of the audience. Because if I just launch another ketchup brand, that's not exciting. Nobody
Yeah.
wants another ketchup brand, and you already have
Mhm.
big players in the market. So the idea was to be a smart business and do something that's exciting and unique. And when you offer something unique and new to the audience, you catch their attention.
Yeah.
So we decided that we started off with maybe 3 to 4 flavors, and in fact, fun fact, one of the flavors, which is currently our hot seller, like it is, there's not a single month where this flavor is not the best selling flavor. Every month, it's so
Hmm.
surprising, which is our flavor called smoked green chili. No one in the market is
Wow.
doing it. And this flavor, when we made it, my husband really liked this flavor, and I was like, I don't think so, whatever. I was more fond of the other flavors which he had created, and he was like, no, I think this is gonna sell. And
Hmm.
he was absolutely right. Every month since 2017, this is our top selling sauce. It's
Wow.
crazy how this, yeah. So for us, it was, like he really, because his experience in the kitchens and
Hmm.
being a chef and working in every aspect of the hospitality industry, he knew what are the kind of flavors that work with the audience. We also wanted to
Hmm.
create and introduce flavors that were familiar to the Indian palate. So, people in India like chilies. We all have green chilies with our lunch and dinner, it's chawal dal ke saath. You'll always have
Hmm.
pyaz and hari mirch always there. So
Yeah.
we really made a list of, worked with flavors that were very unique. We have a flavor called mango garlic. You know,
Oh,
Garlic
wow.
is there in every food that we cook. So, mango is something that everyone enjoys. We have a flavor called kacha aam, which is really a play on, how our grandmothers used to put kacha aam with
I
lal
remember.
mirch, all of
Yes.
that. So we used flavors that were familiar to the Indian audience, but gave them a fun twist, and repackaged it into something really exciting and unique. So I think that's what really, really clicked for us. So we kind of did our research on what are the flavors that we could launch. We started off with 4, 5, and fast forward to 3 years, we're 11 flavors in the
Hmm.
market. We're planning to launch our 12th flavor very soon, and it's been really exciting because we
Is the
always
name
think.
out
I
yet?
think it's always yeah, it's going to be called Boom. It's going to be our
Wow.
spiciest sauce.
Even
so
spicier
so
than the hot AF one.
Yes, 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 yes. I think a
Damn.
lot of people wanted something like people wanted something that would burn them, and we were like, fine, we got to give what the customers want, so let's just do that. So yeah, so I think it's the whole process of just coming up with products, and it has been really exciting for us. As I said, the idea was to kind of figure out what the market wants, but
Yeah.
also know what we are good at. That
Hmm.
balance has to be created. I think most people, you can't have this high-headedness that, oh, I know what's going to sell. No, you
Yeah.
have to understand who's the audience you're selling to. So that's the thing we played upon. We understood what the Indian audience wants because we go
Hmm.
out a lot, we eat out a lot. So we were thinking like customers at every step of the business, which is very important. You have to think like
Yeah.
a customer. I think that's my biggest learning, throughout these years, has been think like a customer. So anytime something goes
Hmm.
wrong, I'm like, think like a customer. What would the customer want? Because they are the ones who take my business forward. So
Yeah.
that's how it's been, and yeah, it's been exciting.
I think this is one of the, like, if any young entrepreneur is listening to this episode, they could really learn from this, because a lot of people, they just focus on the product and they feel that this is going to work out. But if you can't make your customer happy, then it doesn't matter how well your product is. You need to make that customer happy. So I agree with you. That's really important. And
Yeah.
another thing I really wanted to get your take on was that retail is very hard. We all know that. And your distribution channel, like where you sell your products, is mostly online, mostly digital. But I think during the initial days when you were just starting out El Diablo, you were planning to, I think, get the product into supermarkets. So why did you decide to go digital? And how has that worked out for you so far?
So when we started off, I remember I took my, when we started off the business, we had actually created these small little dip jars, those little plastic jars that you get when you order like a burger or something. We ordered those. We used to put them and give it to our friends and family. And once the word started catching on and it started spreading, we arranged for like bottles and started bottling them up. So I remember I went with these small bottles and I went to the local kirana dukan in my colony and I was like, ye mera sauce hai. Like, I was very, very amateurish about it.
Yeah.
And these guys, obviously they were like, ye kya hai? Ye kaun sa product? And, like I realized how vast the retail game is,
It is.
and I'm not ashamed to admit that, yeah, we kind of was swayed by the whole retail thing because it's typical. You launch a food product, you want to be on every shelf in every store. But what I had to quickly realize is that we are not backed by the kind of money that the retail industry demands. It's a very expensive game. Any entrepreneur, if you speak to who's in the retail industry, will say that if you're looking to get into retail, you can kiss your money goodbye for 6 to 8 months because the returns are very, very slow, and there's a middleman in the between, in between, and then there's the store commission that goes, and it's a lot of margins that are distributed amongst a lot of people. So by the time you actually get your product, and if your product doesn't sell, you're stuck with a huge amount of stock. So it's a very risky game. And for a company like ours, which is completely bootstrapped, we literally put in our savings, a few savings. We were just newly married when we started this business. Like, who does that? Like, people are looking to set up houses, and we literally dug a grave by saying, let's start a business. And both the families are like, what the hell is wrong with you guys?
That's the secret to a perfect marriage then, like starting a business.
I hope so. Yeah. So far, so good. So I think, quickly I realized, and we spoke to a lot of people, and I'm never scared of like seeking help. So I spoke to a lot of people who were in the business and different people who have a vast knowledge about this industry. And everyone said, like retail is a very expensive game. And I quickly realized that that's not the channel we want to take. And I said, okay, let's just focus on the online market, because I was like, again, my whole point of think like a customer. I was like, I'm somebody who shops for everything online, right? So there must be so many more people like me. And now online is, everybody prefers to shop online. So we decided that, also the biggest thing, I'm spending less because there's no listing fee that is required when I set up an online shop. Maybe like an initial website cost, but to list on Amazon and different web portals, there's no listing fee. So it was great. Plus each of them have their own database. So I was like, this is a brilliant plan to just focus on the online market and the online audience, and just sell, because there I don't have to think of worrying about stocks, because only when an order is placed does the product go out. So I made the pros and cons of online and retail, and I said, for a bootstrap company like us, online makes perfect sense. And we decided to just trailblaze into the online market and just completely focus on that. So, and it worked out really well. We started off with just setting up like an InstaMojo. We set up like a web page, like a shop there, and then we kind of went on to Amazon, went on to different other portals, and now we're available across most portals, Little Black Book, India Buy Local. So a lot of these sites, we've just launched ourselves on Swiggy Grocery. So I felt that the digital platform suits us more than the physical retail stores. We have sort of ventured into a couple of very unique retail stores, just like 2 or 3, which are very niche, something that we can control. So that has worked out. But if I was just being foolish and said, no, I want to be in retail, I would have been in debt by now. Like our company would have probably shopped. So the idea is to play it smart, understand what are the resources with you, how much you can really risk. It's good to take risks, but you also have to be, you have to take calculated risks. I think that's very important. You don't want to get ahead of your game, and you always want to, I mean, at the end of the day,
organically
if you're
grow.
spending more than you're earning, yeah, it's always going to fail. If you're spending more than you're earning, then obviously it's always going to like shut really, really soon. So you have to take calculated risks, and that's what we've been doing. We've been completely focusing. Our audience has really, really expanded. I mean, and in the pandemic, we've seen the highest sales ever. Because everybody's online right now. So it's been really like, we've steadily seen an increase, in our sales, in the audience, in the El Diablo family that's constantly expanding. So it's been great. So I realized that what I thought, might not work for me actually worked out really, really well. And we are here to stay. And, the idea is to just continuously sell online, and then from there, maybe, take it to retail soon later. when we have the funds and we have a big distribution network and channel. But as of now, focus on online, just completely online.
And it's pan India, right? Like if anyone from
It's
around the
pan
country,
India.
all right. So
Anyone can. That's the beauty of it.
yeah, exactly. That pan India is a great thing. Like if only because I've seen people who have limited delivery channels, and then it restricts the growth. So I think pan India is amazing. All right. So we've spoken about the distribution strategy and about the product, but people don't realize that you're also a singer. And if I'm not wrong, you just released a new single a few days back. Like you're also a singer. You're also a voiceover artist. So how do you manage all of this? Like do you have some sort of superpower with you?
I wish I had a superpower, then I'll be doing a lot more things. I think I'm doing everything that I love, so it kind of comes very naturally to me. I'm always excited to work. I'm always excited to have a super busy day. I get up at 8, I sleep by 1 every day, whether it's a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday, doesn't matter. So 1 a.m. I sleep, 8 o'clock in the morning I'm up, and yeah, I've been doing things. When I was working, I used to love my job. I was working as a corporate sales manager. That was my last 9 to 5 job. And
Hmm.
when I quit my job to take up music full time, then got into voiceovers, then started the sauce business. Everything was sort of, again, organic. And I just didn't leave my job. I planned for it. I saved up money, thinking that if my dreams, so if you say, don't work
Hmm.
out, I have something to fall back on. So I saved up money, and kind of organically started taking up things that I wanted to do, make it a profession. um, you know I always say, when you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work. And sometimes people think I'm on some sort of drugs or something, but I actually enjoy. I wake up hungry and I go to bed hungry, and hunger is a good thing. That
That's
that doesn't mean I'm not satisfied in life, but there's this hunger. When you're hungry, you work so much more. I always say, if you want to earn $10,000, you need to have the effort of
Hmm.
$100,000. It's literally like that.
And
So
I can actually feel
nothing
it.
comes to you.
I can feel it in your voice. Like
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, but every time I talk to you, I'm pumped up. Like, you're giving me energy. So that's contagious. I feel that way. Like really, you can
I'm
just
so glad to hear that.
yeah.
No, I love inspiring people, and I keep saying, I'm not saying everyone should quit their job and everyone should become an entrepreneur. No. But the idea is that if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why do you do
Yeah.
it? I hate it when people are in a situation and they're complaining. I know so many people, oh, I hate my job. My next question is always, why don't you quit your job? Oh, it's not easy. I'm like, it's never easy. It's never easy, even if you're running your own business. It's never easy, even if you're a millionaire, because there are 100 other problems. My mom always says that when you look at other people's basket of troubles, you'll always be happy with what you have. You'll always be like, jo
True.
mere paas hai troubles, I'm happier with that than I don't want someone else's troubles. So I think
Yeah.
everything has its pros and cons. You just have to be really, really passionate about it. And after all the highs and lows I've seen, as a musician, as a voiceover artist, as a business person, I still always feel like, I'm starting from nothing. Every day I'm just
Hmm.
like, okay, this is a new day. I'm absolutely brand new. And I think that's what keeps me very grounded, and keeps me, I always believe in being very humble and being, I don't ever let anything get to my head, because
Hmm.
any moment all of that could be just taken away, and I don't want to get like big headed, and I hate that. I like being very approachable to people. I like understanding what I've achieved and what I've lost out on. But so I kind of, and this has come after being my own boss for like many many years now. So
Hmm.
it's not like something I was just born with.
Hmm.
I had no clue. If you ask me as a child what I wanted to be, there were like 100 other things that I wanted to be. But this has been a very systematic growth for me, and I love it. I just feel that I could be doing this 24/7, and I literally do it. It's just
Yeah.
now that in the pandemic my music shows have stopped. I also anchor for shows, so I anchor for
Hmm.
award shows and corporate events. That's another thing that's taken a hit right now. So I feel also I'm quite smart, because I had 4 jobs, and while people are kind of struggling with one, I have at
Yeah.
least 2 more things to fall back on. And I do everything I do. I do it very very passionately. I do it comes from the heart, and I actually enjoy it. I mean, any day you talk to me about my work, I'll be more than happy. I'm like I'm my salesperson. I'm like my favorite salesperson. I'm ready to sell any of the things that I do all time, every time. It's something I look forward to every day. Like it's crazy. I
That's
sometimes I think I'm a crazy person.
no, that's I think there is a lot of genius as well. Like when you have this amazing energy, and like even if you tell that you're crazy or whatever you feel like, but this is just amazing because I think you're gonna inspire a lot of people. Every life that you touch, I think you're gonna inspire a lot of people, me included, because every time I speak to you, I get pumped up and I'm like, man, I want to feel this way. So just keep
Thank
carrying
you.
on, and I wish you like all the best. I pray for you, and I'm rooting for you guys. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
just taking a little bit of a tangent, just shifting from that topic and
Hmm.
coming to the business again. So like we were talking about the pandemic, and you told me a lot of restaurants have shut down during this pandemic, and what these restaurants are now
Yeah.
doing is that they're also selling sauces, like because they cannot sell food items or anything else, so they're also getting in the sauce business. So that means the competition is increasing for you guys, and because seeing your success, definitely I think a lot of other people would also start their ventures, because this is what happens when other people see that you're successful. They want to grab a piece of the pie as well. So how do you guys
Right.
stay ahead of the curve?
So there's a trend of what business is doing really well. I now if you see the current list of people owning restaurants, most people have no experience, and everyone starts a restaurant because we see these unique different kinds of restaurants coming up for the past few years. This has been a trend. So even people who are not typically from the hospitality background have with a lot of money have started restaurants and their own kitchens and cafes, and most of them don't have a vision, so it kind of shuts down pretty quickly. And now, of course, I mean, in this current, in September, of course, now restaurants are open. They're in service right now. But I'm talking about the beginning of the pandemic, yeah, when restaurants, were not able to figure out, because the delivery kitchens have a very different model. They're used to delivering tons and tons of orders every day, day and night. But restaurants, survive on walk-in audiences.
Hmm.
The footfalls that are coming into the places. So obviously, nobody, and in the pandemic when, disposable income is very limited, people are also being very picky and choosy about where they're ordering from. So even if people are ordering out, they don't want to spend something super expensive. They want to buy something that's reasonable. And because,
Yeah.
nobody knew whether their job is going to stay. So we saw that, curve going here and there. And I saw a lot of restaurants, and not only restaurants, a lot of home chefs, because they're at home, they're like, oh, I've
Hmm.
started my jam business, I've started this, I've started a bakery. And so there was like sudden competition that emerged. And I wouldn't call it, I mean, I still call it competition because it's a new venture that has come up somewhere.
Hmm.
And not like I was bothered, but again, you always need to keep an eye out. You always need to understand what's happening in the market and industry, whether it affects you or not. But it's very important because ultimately it does impact you in some way or the other, because you have to change up your game accordingly. So for me, I knew that our audience, what exactly our audience likes, and who our audience is, and of course what are our advantages, what are we offering. So I think our USP is the uniqueness of the sauces. Our sauces, contain no sugar, they contain no preservatives, no chemicals.
Hmm.
We were kind of pushing out that branding because that's what the product is all about. And right now in the pandemic, everyone's trying to get their immunity up, everyone's trying to eat
Yeah.
healthy. So the idea was to see what's happening, not just in the industry but also around me, kind of change up the marketing game, be more firm with your sales, and you're pushing to the right audience, more ads, more targeted ads on
Yeah.
social media. So that's how, so I don't know whether we are ahead or behind, but at the end of the day, my sale numbers are going up. We're getting tons and tons of orders. We're tying up with more restaurants who are also using
Hmm.
our sauces. My model is B2B and B2C. So it's been, I think it's important to look around what's happening, but also just keep focusing on your own path. I don't really get swayed by competition, but
Because
it's always good to know what's happening.
and I feel from a pricing perspective also, you guys offer a very, because when I see your packaging, and when I first came across your Instagram page and I saw the packaging, it was an amazing packaging that you guys have done. And the first thought that came to me was, you know ye mehenga hoga yaar, matlab, it would have been expensive. But then I checked out your Insta Mojo page, and it was not at all. I mean, the pricing of your product is also very, very reasonable. And I mean, the quality, the packaging, the pricing, I think all of that comes into play.
And that was a very conscious decision when we started the company. The first thing that we were kind of going back and forth on was the pricing. We kind of figured out that we want to be offering something that's unique, something that's sort of a gourmet product, but also have it available to the masses. So it was a very conscious decision to keep the pricing that was affordable, that everybody could enjoy. We definitely wanted to be the sauce of the nation. That's the plan I've been working on. And I remind myself every day that this is what I'm working for. Currently right now we'll see like of course the big players are there on each household table. You'll have a ketchup bottle on every table. Whether it's a middle class house or an upper middle class or a rich house, there's always a ketchup bottle. I want to replace that bottle in each house with an El Diablo sauce bottle. So we're like a baby in the industry, but we're working towards that. And we're cheaper than a Sriracha and Tabasco. We're well priced. We're offering a good quantity. We're offering fresh and natural ingredients, and it's a unique product. So for the kind of price that we're selling at, it's amazing. And we've introduced packs now. So we keep trying to play around with what we're offering to the customer, because as I said, we want, if it was something that's expensive, I wouldn't buy it. So once again, my think like a customer approach always plays in every aspect of the business. So for me, I was like, what is the kind of pricing that I would buy it as a customer? I'm not somebody who comes, I come from a normal middle class family, and I was like, this is, it's very important to understand your roots. And I'm very, very proud of my roots. I'm very proud of every financial, ups and downs I've seen with my family. And I think maybe that's what makes me so, hungry for, not for success, but just for doing well, for putting my name out there, for everything that I do it with my heart and soul, because I've seen that things can just disappear in 1 second, whether it's your fault or not. And it's always, I never have any regrets for what's happened, in my life. And I think everything that comes is a lesson to be learned. So from seeing everything around me and from the world, I always kind of learn. And every obstacle, I look at it as like a learn. I always look at it as, what am I going to learn from this? Even if it's something that's a big block in my way, I'm just like, okay, this is God is sending me a message that I have to learn something from this. And it's about changing your mindset. I could either be like, oh shit, yeah, ye kya ho gaya? Oh my God, my life. I mean, it's very easy to give up. It's very easy to want to fail and just be like, oh God, because it's the easiest thing to do. Just
pat
like
yourself
hold
on the
your
back.
head and be like, oh shit. Yeah, so the idea is to change that thinking. So if I can change a negative situation into a positive outlook, why not? And that works for me. It just keeps me going. And yeah, so we wanted to something that is a mass product, but it's also something that's very unique, and it's a gourmet product. So we were very conscious about how we priced it. We want it to be available for the masses, and it's worked so far. I think everybody really appreciates the pricing for the quantity that you're getting. So it's worked well for us.
And I really hope that, the next time we get on a call, you would have achieved that vision. Like your bottle would be on every table out there. So I'm hoping that happens. And, like we've spoken about a lot of things here, but what does El Diablo mean? Like it's a very catchy name and sounds like a Mexican kind of a version or something like that, but it's very catchy. It just sticks in your mind. So how did you come up with the name? What was the idea?
So Diablo is actually a Spanish word. It means the devil. And my husband had a dog who was named Diablo. This was before I was there in his life. So he had a dog, Diablo. And when we were thinking of business names, we were coming up with like very weird names. And he was like, I'm going to call it El Diablo. So he's also spent a huge chunk of his life in Costa Rica. So he's very, very fluent in Spanish. My husband speaks Spanish better than his Hindi. It's better than his Hindi, yeah. So he said, we're going to call it Diablo. And I was just like, I'm like, what? What is that? And he said, Diablo means the devil. And the dog, his dog who was called Diablo, was a dog who had a fiery temper, But he was
Oh.
the sweetest dog, like with a big heart, but he had a fiery temper. If he didn't like something, he'd just go
Hmm.
for it. So we were like, oh, that's perfect. That's like our sauces. It's like hot and sweet, and you get all
Yeah.
sorts of flavors. And so we called it El Diablo sauces. And it just had a nice ring to it. Sometimes a business name, you're sitting for days and days, and then it hits you. This was just
Hmm.
like we stumbled, like he just said it, and I was like, oh, it sounds great. It has a really nice ring to it, and it's very catchy. And
Yeah.
we went for the and then that's why the dog is also the logo. That's what the brand stands for. We are also big dog lovers. We have
Diablo
we
is
have
going
so
to be
many
a
dogs to take care
celebrity. So,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, I think today's audience, I'm talking about today. I mean, I wouldn't know about like 30, 40 years ago, but today when I see businesses, the audience connects with the business when they really feel the story behind it. And the audience is not foolish. And,
Yeah.
I draw these references and these sort of similarities, even in my music, when I see the audience for my music out there. Today's audience is a very smart audience. They know what they want.
Hmm.
They connect with what is authentic. They connect with something that warms them up, or something that they really feel about, or some similar thing that they feel connected to. And I think that for us, we're trying to tell that story that
Hmm.
we are two people who are really passionate about this, and this is our product. And that's what it is. El Diablo, we're a very quirky, fun brand that reflects in our packaging, that reflects in the way we kind of do our business. So I think, yeah, the audience really is, it always connects. If you're not authentic to who you are, you
Exactly.
could have the best idea, but it just won't click, because the audience connects to you. Like there are these famous sayings that say, don't try and sell a product, try and sell a solution. So our
Hmm.
solution was that there's no quirky sauces that are available here in the market. So
Hmm.
that's the solution we're providing to the audience, and everyone seems to love it so far. I mean, 3 years, I was really scared. I thought, because we're such a small business, bootstrapped, I thought we are going to shut shop. But the day Modi ji announced the lockdown,
Oh, yeah.
we sat and we changed our marketing strategy. And that fear of, not, we didn't want to drown, in the businesses that were shutting. We just completely changed our strategy and re-strategized and replanned everything. And it worked. It's okay to be fearful sometimes. It's okay to
Hmm.
be a little worried, because it keeps you alert. It keeps you, you have to sometimes re-strategize. You have to replan things. You have to kind of go with the flow. And
Yeah.
that's us as individuals. And I think that reflects in our business as well.
Wow, Tanya. I wish you all the best, and I really hope you achieve great things with El Diablo. And again, once
Thank
again,
you.
thanks a lot for coming on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun. And yeah, this is great. I love what you're doing. And I'm so glad we connected.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks.
All right, guys, that does it for today's edition of Vyapar. If you're an entrepreneur, or if you know someone who has a heck of a journey like Tanya had here, you can tell me about it at vyaparpodcast@gmail.com. You can find more about El Diablo sauces. I'll put a link in the description below, and you gotta try it out. Like, if you are someone who really loves spicy food, I challenge you. You gotta try their hot AF flavor. It is like, I think it's really spicy, and the 12th brand is also coming out. So you gotta keep tabs on this, and I'll keep the links below in the description. Check it out. I hope you had a fun time listening to the show. Let me know what you think. We'll see you next week.